Hello dear, and welcome to the newspaper review for today, the 30th day of September 2025. And today happens to be the last day of September 2025. I am a chairman Prosper, and I have here in the studio today with me a beautiful political analyst, Miss Chidinma. Miss Chidinma, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you, ma'am. So, Miss Chidinma, how have you seen the weather since today?
Well, obviously, it's been cold and rainy since this morning. In fact, since the weekend, yes. And it's giving sleep weather.
All right, ma'am. You know, today is Tuesday and we have to be at work. Come rain, come sunshine, because we have to give them the newspaper review for today. All right, so ma, let's get into the newspapers we have for today. And the first on the list is this day newspaper. Presidency, Jonathan free to run in 2027. Nigerians won't forget he ran economy aground. Says ex-leader engaged in frivolous spending, put country in dire straits. That to be seen in page 27. Arise news anchor Somtochukwu Madagwo, 29, dies in Abuja robbery. That to be seen in page 9. Tinubu considers Amputian to succeed Mahmood Yakubu as new INEC chairman. That to be seen in page 10. Court restrains Pegasan and NPC orders from cutting oil gas supply to Dangote refinery. That to be seen in page 29. Nigeria at 65. Tinubu is a gift in time. All right, Ms. Chidinma, we could see in this newspaper boldly written, Nigeria at 65. Tinubu is a gift in time. So what's your take? You know, tomorrow Nigeria will be turning 65 after independence. So what's your take on this, ma'am?
The fact that they are saying Tinubu is a gift to time, is that an ironic statement? Because it is very funny how he is a gift to time. Coming from the fact that within his time frame as the president, because he's still our sitting president, he has successfully, made the price of dollar to go high. Yeah. He has successfully made feeding expensive. He has successfully made electricity. In fact, there's a lot of things he has successfully done, which is very funny, because if I tend to say that Nigeria turning 65, what it means to be independent is you have agreed to take care of things by yourself. And now, after we've gotten our independence from our colonials, that is the British colonials, and now we in 65 years cannot even do what they have done in 65 years in their own country. Right. I mean, they have constant power supply. Their economy is not going down the drain. Not just going down the drain. The educational system is at top. They invent things. Not just that, their citizens are not as poor as the bare minimum person here in Nigeria. Yeah. If you bring the UK currency, and that is pounds, right? Yes, and you bring it to Nigeria, Nigeria does not have value. And then every time they tell us we need to reflect on how, as a Nigerian, you're supposed to give to your country, not your country always giving to you. Okay, yes, we heard from the Minister of Information that there will not be any parade tomorrow. And after that statement, there is no reason to it. One of the most interesting thing about the ceremony, that is the parade, where soldiers come and display something very unique, something that has been happening for the past 64 years, and suddenly the president says no more parade. And that's that. If we are turning 65, I think it's high time that we sit down and not just reflect, because we've been reflecting for the past 64 years. If we could sit down and go and study what our fathers before now did that made Nigeria stay. I mean, I went through my grandfather's documents and found out that at some point Milo was actually 5 kobo. I noticed that even Dangote cement at some point was 20 naira. There was a time that even as a Nigerian, you can send somebody abroad money. Now, your money has no value there. How will you tell me $1 is close to 1,700? Baby's food is expensive. Bad roads. The fact that they're trying to turn the petroleum industry to a monopoly business, where Dangote is now the one trying to give statements on how things are supposed to be run in the petroleum industry. I mean, we've left him with the cement industry. Now he entered the food industry, where he's making sugar, where he's making spaghetti. We left him there. Oh, nobody dragged with him. And now this one with the petroleum, and the president is the minister of petroleum. Very funny.
You know about that, yeah?
Him saying that we should reflect. 2020, we'll be turning 65 tomorrow, less than how many hours from now. And then we cannot, if they ask Nigerians, tell me one thing you have, we can't even say anyone. Education is crap, because currently our universities need the grace of God to function. Asuu always going on strike every year, every faithful year. And now the medical practitioners, most of the youths now are trying everything to japa. They're trying everything to run away, because the government is not doing anything. The security in Nigeria is something that we need to cry about. We need to sit down and ask questions. So if we are turning 65, I think it's high time we don't just reflect. Even as we're talking about the government, as a Nigerian, try and be a Nigerian to your fellow Nigerian. I mean, while we are talking of the corruption from the above, we should also talk about the corruption within ourselves. Not when you have something that you're supposed to give the other person, you'll be giving them terms and conditions applied. So as we're turning 65 tomorrow, the government should work on themselves, and we Nigerians should also work on ourselves. That's all I can tell for now.
So right, so in all essence, you're trying to say that it's not what Nigeria say celebrating turning 65 tomorrow. All right, Ms. Chidima, thank you for the analysis. And over to the next newspaper, Vanguard. Tinubu's government, APC bigwigs, others storm Imo today to unveil Uzodima's book. That will be seen in page 11. No automatic ticket for Jonathan in PDP. Gbenga Hashimi says that will be seen in page 14. Court stops Pegasan orders from cutting gas supply to Dangote refinery. We are not aware of any court order. Pegasan, NNPCL orders as strike begins. That will be seen in page 5. Presidency to Jonathan. Nigerians won't forget your dismissal record in office. That will be seen in page 40. Nigeria at 65. Tinubu is a gift in time. So, Ms. Chidima, we could see in the news, one of the news headlines on the Vanguard, where it says, court stops Pegasan and others from cutting gas supply to Dangote refinery as strike action begins today. So, Ms. Chidima, what's your take on this Pegasan and Dangote's issue?
First and foremost, I will always say that this petroleum issue that started the moment Dangote said he wants to be involved, and it's looking like he's turning it into a monopolic, system where it's just a one-man's business, is beginning to turn into something else. I mean, yesterday during the meeting where the courts are joined by telling them that they will continue the court case on the October 13th, but for now that they should not go on strike. And even during the meeting yesterday, it could be seen that not only did they banter words, the case did not even come to a successful close. I heard that they will be having a meeting today also. And now this is also a funny thing, because the Pegasans are saying that the Dangote resigned 800 workers and brought 2,000 Indians to work for him. Wow. And Dangote is saying, I did not remove them, just that they were sabotaging my factory. Okay. And now this issue is beginning to look very funny, because it's looking like it's no longer a fight for the citizens, that is you and I. Okay. It's looking like it's a fight between the Pegasans, the union, and then Dangote, who is supposed to take more profits. Okay. That is what is giving. Because tell me why, okay, the Pegasans are saying, no, we are not going to allow Dangote have access to the refineries, have access to petroleum, and then Dangote is saying that your refineries are old, I'm trying to help you upgrade it. And then the union is saying that the more delay they have, the more money they lose, because Nigeria exports what are they calling it? Nigeria exports crude oil outside the country, and that is one of our source of income. Now that every day we don't export crude oil, we lose. And then if we lose, we go and take debt. And obviously, that is one thing Nigeria passed, to always take debt from foreign countries. And now, this exchange between the Pegasans and Dangote, they should give us a more sophisticated reason for it. Because if they are fighting for us, I mean, the strike is not needed. Because one, if they start the strike, it will affect us, the citizens. The price of fuel will go high, and when the price of fuel goes high, transportation become expensive, and when transportation become expensive, it is incurred into our food. Something you are buying 5,000 naira before becomes 7,000 naira, and if you ask them why, they will tell you it's fuel. And now, at the end of the day, this banter between them, and it is we the citizens that end up suffering it. And then if Dangote is saying it's because of the 800 staffs and what they've done, and if he cannot give concrete reason, because the union is saying they never said anything like that, the staffs are saying they did not do anything like that, and if he does not want to settle for them, if he doesn't want them to work for him, he should blankly say it's his company. I feel like at this point, it's just them trying to fight for who gets the profits. It's no longer a fight for the citizens, and it's high time that they've settled this thing instead of going on strike. Because if they go on strike, at the end of the day, we are the ones that will suffer it.
Okay, from what I understand from your analysis, I understand you saying that Pegasan is just like what they are fighting for. It's not for the general good of Nigerian citizens, rather for their own personal gain.
I'm not saying they're actually fighting for their personal gain. Okay. What I'm trying to say in essence is this: they have forgotten the reason why they are fighting.
Oh, right.
They have forgotten the reason why they are fighting, and now it's looking like they are fighting for their personal gain.
Okay.
Not the citizens anymore, which is not supposed to be so. Why Dangote is fighting in giving us the front page of he's trying to fight for a upgrade in our refineries. It is also it's also looking like he's giving monopoly from the back. Do you understand what I'm saying?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Chidema, for that well analyzed headline. And over to the next newspaper, The Guardian. North gets bulk of 330 billion social support, says Tinubu. That to be seen in page 3. FG cancels Independence Parade, insists Nigeria still work in progress. That to be seen in page 3. FG denies releasing Osun LG allocation as court stops disbursement. That to be seen in page 5. Gas users groan as Pegasan strike crashes power generation exports. That to be seen in page 6. Borno overtakes Osun as voter registration hits 6.2 million. That to be seen in page 30. Bandits sack thousands in Katsina as Huriwa ports peace deal. That to be seen in page 30. Asuu issues FG 14-day ultimatum over 7 points demand. That to be seen in page 7. Court denies Pat Utomi's shadow government unlawful. That to be seen in page 4. Debate over ethnicity competency deepens as INEC succession battle begins. That to be seen in page 6. Alright, Ms. Chidema, we can see here Asuu issues federal government 14-day ultimatum to meet their demands. We also got to learn that these demands are up to 7. So this Asuu's issue is not today something. This has been something that has been lingering for years, whereby this makes students who are supposed to go into the university for 4 years course get to study this 4 years course for 5 to 6 years. So, Ms. Chidema, what's your take on this, ma'am?
Just like you said, the Asuu strike tends to extend the time frame of students that go to school to go and study, and then by the time they are out, they have passed most of the requirement age for some companies or some infrastructures for jobs. Now, this ASU and federal government's issue is not a new thing, and I feel like at some point members of ASU are supposed to have understood the fact that promises can be broken.
Okay.
And not just promises can be broken. If promises are made to you, make sure that the person that makes that promise delivers. Because every year they keep saying that the federal government have refused to fulfill their promises. When the federal government failed to fulfill their promises the first 2 months, what was the next move? Did you sit back and wait for another year? Because it's always looking like it's every year's thing. They will wait for another 12 months before they will now complain again. And then when the federal government makes such promises, I mean, this money that they are giving to ASU is not for their personal gain. Although yes, it includes their salaries, but most of the money is to develop the schools. This is the thing that the federal government is supposed to know. I mean, if you go to the federal universities, if you go to the state universities, you will end up crying, because tell me why the medical laboratories, the chemistry laboratories, the agricultural laboratories, everywhere is not even up to standard. Sometimes they end up learning practical courses by words written down in theoretical points, which is not making sense. Because, for example, now the medical doctors, for example, if I'm teaching a person anatomy and I'm only teaching them on the board without having to bring practicals for them, how would they learn? And then tomorrow you tell us, and doctors of Nigeria these days don't even know how to do surgery. They open people up and then they forget things inside of them. Some of them end up making people to pie. Why will they not make people to pie when they're not even taught properly? Why will they not make people to pie when a child will go to school with an estimation of 4 years? When they go there, they end up spending 6 years. And then within that 6 years, their house rent will change. Oh, they will still pay house rent. Exactly. And when they pay the house rent, they will still pay school fees. And not just school fees. By then, transportation expenses, everything increases, and it affects the parents at the end of the day. And the federal government are not bothered. If you make promises, fulfill those promises. I mean, they send their own children abroad. They see how the schools abroad function. If they love what they are seeing abroad, is it a crime to bring it to their own country? It's possible for them to bring it to their own country. You can make Nigerian schools better. The federal government should think about it. And when the money is given to us, they should not put it inside their pockets. They should tend to give it to where it's supposed to be. Pay up the allowances of the lecturers and rebuild the schools. I mean, some schools need grace of God to function, because some of them, they don't even have chairs, they don't have benches, they don't have board. And all these are things that are supposed to be done through ASU. So at the end of the day, the federal government and ASU are to be blamed for what this constant strike they are going on.
All right, Ms. Chidima, you know, like I read last night about one of these ASU's demands is that the federal government should review the agreement they had in 2009, where they agreed that their salaries should be reviewed from 25% to 35%. And also that the budgeting for education every year should be elaborate, so that there can be funds to equip laboratories in the country. And all, because most times when you go to most of these federal schools, like the engineering department, you get to see that most of the things in these workshops and laboratories are outdated. You know, like we say, curriculum changes, and most times these students are being taught with old curriculums, old machines, because like we have cars of different year and different grades. That's how most of these things change, because these engineers are taught maybe with cars of 1999, whereas they are supposed to be taught with machines of the modern day, because the school cannot afford such machines. Therefore, these engineers get to be taught with old machines, and most times when they go out to seek for jobs, most of them are even asked to go for further studies so that they can be updated on the latest mode of repairs in machines. Thank you, Ms. Chidima, for that analysis. And that's that on the newspaper review for today. You can be a part of this show by putting down your opinion in the comment section. So do not forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to our various social media channels. I remain Achoamanse Prosper. And thank you, Ms. Chidema, for that well-calculated analysis.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for joining me today, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.